Today we are going to finish question 1 of the prima pars. For this video, we're going to do Article 9, whether Holy Scripture should use metaphors. So, let's get started. Should Holy Scripture use metaphors? Objection 1. It seems that Holy Scripture should not use metaphors. For that which is proper to the lowest science seems not to befit this science, which holds the highest place of all. But to proceed by the aid of various similitudes and figures is proper to poetry, the least of all the sciences. Therefore it is not fitting that this science should make use of such similitudes. Thomas's reply to Objection 1. Poetry makes use of metaphors to produce a representation, for it is natural to man to be pleased with representations. But sacred doctrine makes use of metaphors as both necessary and useful. Objection 2. Further, this doctrine seems to be intended to make truth clear, hence a reward is held out to those who manifest it. He quotes, "They that explain me shall have life everlasting," as it says in Sirach 24:31. But by such similitudes, truth is obscured. Therefore, to put forward divine truths by likening them to corporeal things does not befit this science. Thomas's reply to Objection 2. The ray of divine revelation is not extinguished by the sensible imagery wherewith it is veiled, as Dionysius says in his celestial hierarchy. And its truth so far remains that it does not allow the minds of those to whom the revelation has been made to rest in the metaphors, but raises them up to the knowledge of truths. And through those to whom the revelation has been made, others also may receive instruction in these matters. Hence, those things that are taught metaphorically in one part of Scripture, in other parts, are taught more openly. The very hiding of truth in figures is useful for the exercise of thoughtful minds and as a defense against the ridicule of the impious, according to the words, "Give not that which is holy to dogs," it says in Matthew 7:6. Objection 3. To whether Holy Scripture should use metaphors. Further, the higher creatures are, the nearer they approach to the divine likeness. If, therefore, any creature be taken to represent God, this representation ought chiefly to be taken from the higher creatures, and not from the lower. Yet this is often found in Scriptures. Thomas's reply to Objection 3. As Dionysius says in his celestial hierarchy, it is more fitting that divine truths should be expounded under the figure of less noble than of nobler bodies, and this for 3 reasons. First, because thereby men's minds are the better preserved from error. For then it is clear that these things are not literal descriptions of divine truths, which might have been open to doubt had they been expressed under the figure of nobler bodies, especially for those who could think of nothing nobler than bodies. Secondly, because this is more befitting the knowledge of God that we have in this life. Okay, let me say that again. Secondly, because this is more befitting the knowledge of God that we have in this life. For what he is not is clearer to us than what he is. Therefore, similitudes drawn from things farthest away from God form within us a truer estimate that God is above whatsoever we may say or think of him. Thirdly, because thereby divine truths are the better hidden from the unworthy. Interesting. Okay. So he is following Dionysius the Areopagite here, saying that what what God is not is clearer to us than what he is. And utilizing imagery from lower, less nobler creatures can be provocative for us in really realizing the truth of this via negativa method. On the contrary, it is written in Hosea 12:10, I have multiplied visions, and I have used similitudes by the ministry of the prophets. But to put forward anything by means of similitudes is to use metaphors. Therefore, this sacred science may use metaphors. Okay, so he quotes scripture, saying that the sacred scripture can utilize metaphors, or the sacred science can use metaphors. Thomas answers that it is befitting Holy Writ to put forward divine and spiritual truths by means of comparisons with material things. For God provides for everything according to the capacity of its nature. Now it is natural to man to attain to intellectual truths through sensible objects, because all our knowledge originates from sense. Hence in Holy Writ, spiritual truths are fittingly taught under the likeness of material things. This is what Dionysius says in his celestial hierarchy. We cannot be enlightened by the divine rays except they be hidden within the covering of many sacred veils. It is also befitting Holy Writ, which is proposed to all without distinction of persons. To the wise and to the unwise, I am a debtor, as it says in Romans 1:14. That scriptural truths be expounded by means of figures taken from corporeal things, in order that thereby even the simple, who are unable by themselves to grasp intellectual things, may be able to understand it. There you have it. The scripture talks to humanity at every level. So that was Article 9, should Holy Scripture use metaphors?